Hi folks, welcome back to the shop. Today I just wanted to speak briefly about flush cutters. Now here you'll see I have a pair of Crescent flush cutters. They're made in China. I bought these as a replacement for an older pair that I had a few years back. I saw this at a store. Not sure if it was Lowe's or Home Depot, but I saw these at a store with this pair, right? And I picked them up. Why? Because I had an older pair of these made in the USA that I got from an old job when I was first exposed to these this flush cutter, the whole idea, and I had shipped out the teeth. Okay, well recently I was looking at those old flush cutters, which I still happen to have. I use them for smaller jobs, things that didn't require something to be as sharp. But you can see right off the bat, they're in better condition than these newer ones that I got from China. Well, they were made in the USA. Crescent made in the USA. You can see the print's still on here, but I had shipped out the cutters on here. If you're not aware, this is the nature. These are flush cutters where you can see you get a very precision flush cut for smaller materials. Come in very handy for cutting zip ties, things like that. So I put these in the vise and I took a file to them, and I thought one day, well, heck, why don't I just go ahead and try to sharpen them up? Well, sure enough, it worked. I was able to get a good edge back on these to where they are now usable again, and I put them back into circulation, normal circulation. So keep that in mind if you have a tool like this. A lot of times if just a little bit of care, you can, because I had serious I'd cut something too hard with these cutters, and I'd had these really deep indentations in the blades on this cutter. Now, so the question is, where can you get a good flush cutter made in the USA nowadays? Well, I saw this Klein precision flush cutter recently. Of course, it's made in the USA, and I've heard excellent things about it. Right there, made in the USA at the bottom of the package. And I thought, what the heck, let's get a pair and try them out. This is before I actually sharpened up my USA-made flush cutters. I picked these up. But these are, let's take a look here, open the package up. Great thing about this kind of package, you can pop it open, look at them in the store, and check a tool out before you actually buy it. I always like this type of, this style of packaging. Let's see if there's anything on here. Pretty straightforward, precision flush cutter, cuts up to 16 gauge wire. And there's just a quick look at the back there. Yeah, ultra slim, heat treated for increased durability. So all in all, like I've said, I've seen great reviews on this tool. Excellent tool. But to compare it to the Crescents, the made USA Crescents, some of the things I'm looking at is, just is the head size larger or smaller? If we can get a good look here, you'll see they're roughly the same size. The Crescent's just slightly smaller, just a little bit tighter blade on the Crescents. But then I look at things like, well, how far do the actual handles spread out? The handle spread there you can see is not a whole heck of a lot different there, very similar. Because I'm looking at things like, well, how well it fit in the bag? Can I put it in the bag? It's not going to get in the way. Is it something that, and the handle spread, of course, is going to contribute to that. You can see these guys do open up though. I can pull these open. These don't. They have a stopping point. So I like that better. So if you put them in a bag and they're open, they're not going to completely open up like these and spread out and just be just one more thing you have to fumble around with. And of course, the same I think is true of the Chinese made. And like these are, like I said, these are currently available in stores still. But I can tell you, just from use, anecdotally and otherwise, that they in no way compare to the made in the USA Crescents here, which is interesting. They have it stamped on here as well. And the funny thing is, I got this tool from an old job that I had, and when I, one of the deal was I could take the tools with me once I finished that job or that particular place I was working. But yeah, made USA stamp there, also on the handles. But clearly it was a higher quality tool, because this thing's seen a lot more years than the newer tool. I've only had this for, I don't know, a couple years or something when I decided I'd buy it, because these were dull, and relegated this to cutting things like zip ties and stuff like that. But really it's been, like I said, brought back into use because I sharpened it. But I like the fact, like I said, there's a full complete spread of this tool. You can see I could open up in the bag, kind of be fumbling around with. This guy has a stopping point, which is great. We look at the spring on the back. They both have a similar spring. This one's more of a flat piece of metal on the Crescent, okay, and more of a wire here on the Klein. I would think that might break. Of course, if it did, they'd still work. They just wouldn't spring open, but they work fine. Also, a flat piece of metal here on the Chinese one. I show that one because it's still in stores, and you might be interested in getting the Crescent version of this tool. But yeah, I'd say the best way to go in terms of flush cutters right now is this Klein pair of flush cutters. Not this edge, I'm not really crazy about particular edge here, how far it sticks out, because that could be something that just kind of gets in the way. You know, I like the fact that these grips, you know, just kind of are in line here. More, this is something that can get caught up in the bag when you're trying to put it away, or maybe just get in the way in general. Don't really, to me, it would have made more sense just to have this kind of, not have this pointed edge here on that tool. But now, if you're not familiar with flush cutters, you know, the idea is to be able to cut 16 gauge and below wire with these knives. And so you get into small spots, tight spots with them with this smaller head. You can see here's a traditional pair of diagonal cutters, right? And made by Klein as well. And you know, you got a massive size difference here between the two. So we're going to fit into tight spots with this, different kinds of jobs. This is, of course, these Klein diagonal cutters are for much heavier jobs, but you know, this is the kind of tool where when I first got it, I thought, well, gosh, am I ever really going to use that? But it comes in way handier than you'd ever think. And I find myself grabbing a lot more than I ever thought I would for all kinds of jobs. So it's just a great handy tool to have in your toolbox. But all in all, excellent tool, feels great in the hand. It cuts extremely well. Let's see if I have some wire here. I have a small piece of wire here we can cut, see how well it cuts. Just cuts right through there, like no problem whatsoever with that. See how that compares to the sharpened up Made in the USA Crescents. Definitely a more of a, of course it depends on where you put it in the jaws, but yeah, this one definitely doesn't cut quite as easily, I think, as the Klein. Let's try one more time here. Oh yeah, Klein's definitely cutting better. Let's try the Chinese Crescent. Let's see how it does. Yeah, it's cutting okay. Well, actually, yeah, it's cutting okay. Yeah. Back to my Crescent USA. Might need to sharpen these up a bit more. I mean, they're cutting. A bit of a snap there, but anyhow, yeah, these are cutting like butter. Klein, as expected from Klein, if made in the USA, can't really beat Klein Made in the USA tools. I mean, it's really tough. But anyway, just a quick word on flush cutters. If you're thinking about picking up these, of course, they sell them at the Home Depot, and you can buy them online as well. But I think it's an excellent choice for flush cutters to get something made in the USA. It's going to work great, and a tool you're going to have for a long time. And as I've said, you can sharpen these knives up if you're careful. So with that said, please consider commenting, liking, and subscribing, and I'll catch you in the next video.